heard what you said. I'm not the silly romantic you think. I don't want the heavens or the shooting stars. I don't want the gemstones or gold. I have those things already. I want a steady hand, kind soul. I want to fall asleep and wake knowing my heart is safe. I want to love and be loved. Welcome to the Journey to Forever podcast, where we discuss the highs and lows of life and love. Join us, your hosts, Flo and
Joe,
for a weekly recalculation of our roots as we navigate the twists and turns with candid conversation, comfort food, and laughter. Welcome back, Forever family, to episode 28 of the Journey to Forever podcast. I'm Flo, the recovering overlover, and I'm joined by my co-host,
Joe.
Yay! All the way where he is. On this podcast, we are focused on rewriting the tale of forever love, one conversation at a time. If you can tell, I'm excited about today's topic. If you love this content, then practice your commitment by subscribing or following this podcast on whatever app you're listening to this episode on. Also, we welcome feedback, so please take some time, a second or two, to rate this podcast, or feel free to send us a voice message. You can find links to do either or both of those things on our Instagram at Journey to Forever TT. As usual, you know I love quotes. I'm the queen of quotes. I love a good quote. That quote that I opened this segment with is by Shayna Abe. Forgive me if I'm mispronouncing the lady's name. She is a romance writer. And in the quote, she referenced the silly romantic. I must admit, growing up, I was a silly romantic. I was the girl who loved Jane Austen's books. I read Milton Boon's. Babe, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Exactly.
I didn't do it, but...
I know, but I'm sure you would have had girls around your age group that you would have interacted with who would have spoken about those things.
Actually, no. Back in those early days, I remember my mother reading Milton Boon.
Okay, see? Mama V, a lady after my own heart. While I describe myself as a romantic, I love love. And demonstrating that love often at the same time, though, I am a realist. So today, the question is, or the discussion centers around, do we always need grand gestures to demonstrate romance? Because the media has fed us this story, this narrative that romance is all about candlelit dinners or us traipsing through a garden, a well-manicured garden of flowers. Or for our Trinis, you will get this reference, dancing around a tree, singing to each other.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about without me being explicit. Singing the song, staring at each other's eyes, dancing around the tree. That's what we've seen often enough, to typify romance. But is that all there is? Is that the reality of romance? So that's our discussion for today. But as usual, before we get knee deep into that conversation, let's wade into the water in our opening segment. What's your story? Joe, I have an interesting question for us today.
All right. Let's hear it.
What are 3 things you could buy at the grocery store to make the cashier give you weird looks? 3 things you can buy at the grocery store that could make the cashier give you weird looks.
Whipped cream.
Okay.
Wine and cheese.
You think she would? Why you think she would look at you weird like that?
Because Come on, when you put those combinations together, they know something gonna go down.
Wow.
Or our grocery is probably have a lot of stuff. I would take plastic bags, detergent, and rope.
You gone to opposite extremes there, boy.
Yeah. You know?
All right. Okay. If I was a cashier, the rope thing might make me like pay attention to your face. I think so. The rope would be like, I'd be nosy and I will honestly try to ask a question. So you're going to tow somebody? Like somebody stole, boy. My things are condoms, adult diapers. I couldn't think of the third one. I was thinking something where to eat, but I've never seen it locally, like Vegemite, like something really strange to our palate, culturally, that they like, what? Why are you buying that? That sort of thing. Yeah. But as a woman, I remember like going somewhere and buying a pack of condoms and the cashier like staring at me like with this question in her eyes, and I'm like in my mind like, sis, why you in the business? Why you in my business? Yeah, and the adult diapers. I mean, that I think I would look at somebody in my age questioningly.
No, I wouldn't watch them anyhow because most likely they have parents, grandparents.
Right, but without seeing that person with them, to me it might be strange. To me. You know, like if Granny with you in the line, then sure, no problem. I honestly thought you were going to say sanitary napkins.
No, I would buy that normal.
I know, but if you were by yourself, like I wasn't around and you were just purchasing that by yourself, the cashier, but then again, the cashier might smile and she might like, that's a good man, I know.
That is man.
Yeah, understand?
Yeah. She might feel that tackle. You know?
True. I didn't think of it like that.
Yeah. I don't have no problem with these things at all.
Yeah, I found this question interesting, but at the same time, to me, it's like, what you're buying is your business. As long as you're not stealing it from the store, you do you, boo.
Yeah, I know. Only certain things I personally would find strange. Most things, I am a very mind my own business kind of fella.
Yep.
Once it doesn't cause any harm to me or disrupt my personal space, you do you. You understand? I don't mind. I ain't gonna say to myself, I might ask myself some questions, yeah, but to go all out and go in on it, no.
Right.
That's just not me.
Okay. Well, glad to know that we would both be minding our business if we were cashiers, not peering or questioning the purchases of the, what is that word I'm looking for? Yes, the purchases, the customers, way out of brain fart there, way. The customers of the particular grocery. But to get into our topic for today, the reality of romance.
But wait, before we get to the reality of romance, I'll tell you what would make me ask a question. If you look out the door at the grocery, so you could see outside, right? And you see a guy comes out of a car, walks to the grocery, And then you see a woman gets out of this car, but she's not coming to the grocery.
Uh-huh.
And for some reason, the guy buys condom. You don't know the guy, you don't know where he's from. And for some reason, it gets kept back. So it's your break, you walk outside, and then you look at the car, what he came in,
Uh-huh.
and realize the woman by the car is actually the wife of a friend of yours.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
You already
Oh
saw
my
what he
goodness.
was. Okay, you saw his activity pack.
I
You know?
find this sounding too detailed to not be based on a real life situation. Say no more.
You know, what would you now? Would you watch him strange?
I would say is your brother. And that just in my 3D patois, I said it just like that in my head. That is her brother, Flo. Mind your business. That ain't none of your business.
But if it's my real good friend, my partner, pitch marble together,
Uh-huh.
ask you. We'll say, I wouldn't even ask him yet.
Mm-hmm.
I will have a family reunion, get together, something. You know, you will meet up somehow.
So
Or
you wouldn't even
somebody.
wave to the lady?
No waving will take place.
Okay.
And I would ask her, how your brother going? And from then, she proceeds to say, I don't have any brothers.
I find you like lacquer too much, Joe.
Well, yeah. At that point in time, you could go all out, you know.
That tongue like lacquer. I staying out. As far as I know, that's the lady's brother. She just meet him because they were separated at birth or something. I don't want to know. I don't want to know.
I can't do my friend that. Yeah, my friend that.
But you see, you're going to stir up trouble. You're being nosy like the cashier.
But no, I have to. No. Because if it's me, I would like someone to make me this report, you know.
Okay.
Let me know.
I hear you. But what I would say to you is that right about now, with that questioning, you're killing the people's hopes of romance. So let's get back on track and keep it
Well,
real.
there are whole different set of romance we're going to go on there.
I hear you.
Anyway, yeah, sidetrack it. You know, we have to have a little fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little more complex than it really is. All right,
Yes.
all good.
People, if you've not been listening to this podcast for a while, then you would know that yes, Joe and I are similar, but we are quite different, as you would have heard in that first segment. There are things that he would be willing to do that I would not be willing to do. And the reason why I bring that up is because earlier this week I said to him, I find her too mushy. we had a conversation along those lines. So hence today's topic. Because at times I think I'm the mushy one. That's not to say that Joe is not a romantic. And we'll find out how romantic he is in a little while because we both took a hopeless romantic test, which we found on psychologytoday.com. So in this test, it's really supposed to help you answer the questions. Are you a hopeless romantic? Or are you a more pragmatic lover? So we both did the test before we began this recording, but I just want to highlight some of the questions that I found pretty interesting. So one of the very first question is, do you think that fate or destiny play a role in love? I said, not at all. What did you say?
I said yes. Why I said yes? Because we actually had that conversation I told you that you have to have some form of faith or destiny and certain
To
things.
get us together.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Because, yeah, that is true. That is true. But I don't think it's always necessary, for two people who love each other. It's not necessarily always fate or destiny that they end up together. Because I honestly think love is a choice. Do you understand? Love, I meaning that I believe love can evolve in different ways. But for us, yeah, it was real destiny. It was,
A series of coincidences.
phew, that's putting it lightly. A series of coincidences. Then the other question I really smiled when I saw it was, have you and your partner ever had a special song that you called your own? No, I said yes. What did
I
you
said
say?
yes.
Right. Because I know that though we've never said this is our song, or did we? But there's a song that is synonymous to our relationship. And if you listened to our episode titled Soundtrack to Our Love Story, which was a few episodes back, you would know what song we're talking about. Babe,
Yeah.
tell them the name of the song.
I want you to tell them the name of the song. Mr. Combs, I'll give them half.
So it's something about beautiful, crazy, crazy,
That's the
beautiful,
name of
beautiful, crazy. Okay.
Crazy.
Yes.
That is the song. You got it right. Look at that. Beautiful Crazy.
Yeah. So the task is very, very, very interesting. The other question that I
Well, we
liked,
could give them the full name of the person who sang the song. Maybe they could go check it out. And as Luke Combs is his name.
yeah, and the song is Beautiful Crazy.
Lukecombs. Beautiful Crazy.
The other question that I loved was, which of the following best describes your idea of the ideal date? And I really chuckled as I was reading this because I was like, wow, these dates run the gamut. From an evening of pool, beer, and nachos to what coffee and biscotti at a hip cafe. Well, I had to choose. What do you think I chose, babe?
Picnic.
Oh, no, I actually chose a meal at a fine restaurant followed by theater or ballet.
Yeah, I would think you would because you're fancy.
I fancy. I thought you would have chosen a meal at a local diner and a movie.
Nah.
Nah?
No. Those are just regular, but what was the question? Get the heart of the question. What did the question say?
The question asks, which of the following best describes your idea of the ideal date?
Right. See, that is the idea of the ideal date.
Mm-hmm.
It would be because all those other options, it's crowd. Understand? There are people around. There's also the people, but you're not really everybody within earshot.
So you chose a candidate.
No, I chose the picnic.
Okay.
Yeah, because everything else is everybody right there. Some of those
Yeah.
places you can't even have a conversation. Like the movies, the ballet. You understand?
Yeah, some other activity going on. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I
So
get
that's
that.
why I chose picnic.
All right. No, this is what I love about the test as well is there was a question, question number 6. In which of the following places or manners would you feel best proposing marriage or being proposed to? Because, well, I don't need to respond to this. Joe already know. for some people, and we've seen it because there are many YouTube videos all over different forms of social media with the big proposal, where people get their family involved and stuff. And I'm like, please, if somebody ever does that to me, just have the earth open up and swallow me whole. Because as much as I love romance, I don't like other people's. You and I have the same idea as you were mentioning just now with the ideal dates. With people around, other people involved, it's like, no, stay out my business, please. Please stay out my business.
Yeah, you're not one for those grand gestures.
Yeah. The grand gesture could be just between you and I. You understand? I don't like that whole thing about other people involved. To me, that feels as though you're pressuring the person into, or at least I will feel pressured into saying yes. Suppose you have questions.
Well, I think if you had questions, you would ask those questions long before you reach the point where the person decide,
No, but
hey,
no, but but have some people who might jump the gun, as in they didn't even have the conversation with you before they decided to do this, right? So you don't even expect anything like this, and then bam, it's sprung on you. Like I would,
like asking somebody to get married after 2 weeks.
or something
like
like that.
Let's get married. Okay, serial killer.
No, there are love stories that involve people having a quote unquote whirlwind romance, but
it's not the norm.
Yeah, that's definitely
the success rate on that is probably ridiculously low.
I don't know.
My assumption, that is.
Yeah. So romance to me could look like different things. Anyway, those are some of the interesting questions. That's just to pique your interest and also to give you some idea that romance doesn't always have to look like what we see all over the media, right? We will get into our results now.
All right.
I got 83.
Papa Laps. 83.
Yeah, 83.
Take a guess what I got. One guess.
I say 95.
Of course not. I got 80.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's so cool.
80.
We're like a difference of 3.
Yeah. That is because of your mushiness.
Oh.
You get the extra.
Okay. Yeah, so based on this particular test, it says, according to your score, you are romance typified. I don't know about that. Rose petals, poignant poetry, tall glasses of wine. Yep, I'm in for the wine. Touching moments and sweet words are all loving gestures that you love to receive as well as offer. Well, we both love performing acts of service for each other. So yeah.
Yeah, my own says basically the exact same thing.
Yeah, romance is very important to you and quite likely an aspect that you consider fundamental in relationships. Here. Joe knows. Yeah. Like, if we have a moment where I feel disconnected from him or, that we just like out of sync, I'll be like, babe, I'm not afraid to say, schedule me, please. Like, make some time here.
Yes, most definitely.
We need to catch up.
We need to reconnect.
Yeah, we need to, because I think so for me, consistency is key. And it's interesting how my idea of romance changed with time. So, like I said before, as you're growing up, you're reading all these romance novels, or you're reading the classics written by Jane Austen, etc. And you have this idea that you're supposed to be swept off your feet. But my experience, like in real life, was far different from that. We meaning I think us girls, we would read these romance novels, and fellas, most it's not a common thing for a man to read a romance novel. Like I don't know any man who has ever read a Milton Boone or anything like that. So
Yeah,
we expect,
never done it.
right? So we expect certain things, and they are quote unquote clueless because they're not reading the same books, right? So for me, it's like expectation versus reality. You know those memes?
Yeah,
They're like black and white.
because it reminds me of something that me and a few friends, when we having our discussions,
Mm-hmm.
that we see with some women, they are
Mm-hmm.
spoiled. They are spoiled to the point of being divas.
Okay.
And that came from your father or whoever saying, my little princess, my this, my that. And where they go all out to make sure the little princess has everything. And, she is everything to them. But that is what misconception comes up,
Uh-huh.
that everyone must treat me like a little princess. But you have to remember, you are your daddy's little princess.
Oh.
You understand? In the real world,
Mm-hmm.
you are an adult. You have adult behaviors and adult responsibilities, and it's not all about you, as your father would have made you to believe.
Okay. So luckily I didn't have that.
Yes, I'm not
No, no,
generalizing.
no, no. Because we're talking about you and I, and I know you're speaking generally of thing behaviors that you've seen,
Yeah,
and and has been portrayed on various forms of media. I didn't have that. My dad was always the
he
quote
was a
unquote.
realist.
He was definitely a realist. You took the words right out of my mouth. He I had to beg to get a doll. Like I didn't have dollies growing up because he had a very unorthodox or uncommon way of parenting. So it was like books, and his thing was toys are toys. Whenever he would buy toys, it would be toys that the three of us, myself and my two siblings, can all play with. So it'd be art, it would be books, things like that.
Board games, things like that.
Yeah, things like
Everybody
that.
have to play in a group.
hmm So that's why I never suffered from the whole daddy princess thing. But like I said, my ideas came from books, reading.
Yeah,
So then I over time I had to adjust my thinking about it, like my expectations. The expectations now had to catch up with the reality. That's not to say that there there won't I didn't have good experiences, but I knew that I had to compromise because there was no Prince Charming coming in on a white horse, sweeping you
yeah,
off your feet kind of thing. I had to be realistic. At the same time, yeah, you want to be treated, you know, as a special person by that special person.
yeah. You have nothing wrong with that. It's nice to be treated that, but
hmm
it's not think that this person have to treat me this way. This no, it's because, as I said, everything like love is a choice.
Yes.
And every person, it depends on how the person choose to treat you, and sometimes the person choose to treat you a certain way is how you behave towards them. You know, so sometimes you could just be the quietest little thing and they will be like, oh my God, I love her. Or she is everything. Or sometimes it might be you are forward, you are take charge. They were like, yes, this is what I've always wanted, you know? So I guess it all goes to the person that you have in your life
Yeah.
and what is that person's expectations and what was that person's experience before.
Mm-hmm.
So that is how you will find out, okay, yeah, I could really deal with this sort of crazy. I could work with it, you know?
That's so true. I do think that we spend like the early parts of our relationship um setting the parameters with for the relationship. Like you literally demonstrate how you want to be treated, because you may not necessarily ask for something directly, but or through conversation, have a conversation. What are some of the things that you like? Those, so you literally set the parameters. Now, for me, what one thing that I've learned is that I don't ever want the romance to die. Remember the Darius Love Hall quote from a few episodes back? Romance is all about the possibility of everything. To me, it's incumbent on both parties to like continuously work at keeping that spark going. Like
Yeah.
from the time you see the it's at a flicker, eh.
And my thing on it is that every relationship supposed to have heat, right? I say heat for a particular
Mhm.
reason
Mhm. Mhm.
because you can't keep a fire roaring all the time. It is going to die down because people have emotions,
And life
right?
happens.
And life happens and moods and these things will happen. So it
Mhm.
will die down. So at some point in time when you notice, hey, we need to, the place get a little cool.
Yeah.
And to throw some coal or firewood back onto this and you let it, or how would I put it? Revive,
Mhm.
you know?
Mhm.
So, yeah, so no matter what, you just keep it going. It don't have to be roaring all the time, you know? But it's there and
Mhm.
you just don't let the fire go out.
And for me, it's the little things.
Yeah, and the little things keep the
The
fire going, you know?
Yeah, the little things. It's almost like, to use another analogy, every little drop, fills the bucket. One of our favorite segments, which will be coming up soon, what's filled your love tank. It's almost on a weekly or daily basis, just doing little things to keep the love tank full. Because if you don't, one day you'll wake up and be like, woo, in the journey, you have to pull aside. You're like, woo, park up here, boy. We run out of gas. You know? Yeah.
Yeah, keep it doing small little things, you know? Yeah, you keep the fire light.
Yep. Keep the fire lit.
And you know what's the good thing about it? I'm gonna tell you what is one of the biggest things.
Mm-hmm.
When you can do something that person never even thought of, they didn't ask, they didn't mention, they didn't nothing. They just kept to themselves. And that your partner would come and just like boom,
Yeah.
notice that hey, this is I giving them this. You know, there's
Yeah.
the understanding and being on the same wavelength, the powers of observation.
Mm-hmm.
That you think, well, this would make your partner's life easier or happier just for the fun of it. It don't have to be anything serious,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because what we were saying is like buying gifts and you buy your father a weed whacker instead of a cutlass.
Yeah, we were talking about this. Yeah.
Yeah, it will be like, but there is more work. Still cutting hair, exciting to do work, but it is work easier.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, little things that you notice.
Yep. So let us.
You're sounding a little hungry.
So, no. Before we get into thing to eat, I just wanted to mention some of the activities
Mm-hmm.
that the test recommended, and some of these we've actually done. One of them is to show up at your lover's workplace and whisk him or her away for a lunch or a walk. We've
Right?
done that. If you're a member of the Forever family and you've listened to all our previous episodes, you know what we're talking about.
Yes. Love tank was filled on that day.
Yep. Um, put a note on the bathroom mirror promising to share an afternoon delight. Woo!
What is this?
Yeah, I like that one though. Hmm.
Eh?
And of course, when you're not together, just send in a little message, babe, I miss you. Mhm. Which is what I did that prompted this entire conversation. And the emoji that I got, I will just leave it there.
You little rascal.
I'm not a little rascal. Oh, ride your bike or walk the distance to your significant other's house just to see him or her for a few hours. I don't know about that. No, that's a little too far for me.
Yeah. In these
uh,
modern times.
hmm
Yeah. Good drive.
But this one, I can't wait to do post pandemic, post lockdown. Surprise your partner with plans for a fun day trip together. Listen, remember episodes where we were talking about our post pandemic plans? That drive down south to get the lobster. Can't wait for that day.
Mm. So,
Yep, soon. And of course, if words of affirmation is one of your love languages, compliment the person, compliment your partner. A simple, you're adorable, or you're so much fun to be with is something that I'm sure will make their heart smile. So, people, we know sometimes it gets rough. As Joe says, the heat starts to fade, but you have to do
that
little
is not
things.
by choice.
Yeah. No, if you really want the heat to fade, then I think it's the good thing to just say, "Hey, I don't think this is working."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's always good to be honest and open about your feelings. But Joe, we've been talking a whole lot about romance, and as I mentioned before, I love a fancy dinner. So I don't know what you have planned for a thing to eat segment, but we should dive in.
Thing to eat.
Hmm.
Well, thing to eat begins with a reminiscence of this weekend. What we made milkshake.
Yes, because Sunday the
Yeah.
20th was vanilla milkshake day in the US, that
Yes.
is. Hmm.
So we had that. That was nice.
That was
Yeah.
lovely. That was
Yeah.
lovely.
Homemade milkshakes. This pandemic is really doing it. Getting these things in.
Yeah. Yep. I think it has been the most fun that I've had with you. Like just cooking and trying new things in the kitchen. It's awesome.
Yeah, we have done a lot. We have done a lot in the kitchen. Yeah. We have had fun.
Definitely.
We have watched enough movies that I believe we're running out of movies. Come
Yeah.
on, Hollywood, you need to pick up the pace.
Yes. And what's being released isn't really that good. Because I'm not the only
Yeah.
one. I've heard someone within the last few days have said the same thing to me. Unprovoked, as in I didn't prompt the conversation. The person said this and I was like, yeah, trust me, I share your sentiments. Because people have been at home, there, you have a lot more free time and to watch stuff. So I think people have watched all the movies that they could possibly watch. So they really want something new and
Yeah. Thank God
fresh.
for Netflix, though. I never thought I would say that because they have a
Yeah.
lot of reruns and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But their quality seems to be actually rising high. They haven't really experienced actors. And some of the shows are becoming more and more interesting. Like, okay, not bad.
Yeah.
Watch this. But big Hollywood company, big boys, they are watching that bottom line.
Ah,
Big premiere weekend and where everybody is filled movie theaters and,
yeah. Well, summer
they,
is coming, or summer is happening in the United States. So hopefully that would prompt a lot more movies to be released. I know I can't
yeah,
wait for Fast 9. Somebody said that it's been released, but I don't know. I can't keep up anymore. So I have to see that one. Yeah, I know people like Fast and Furious need to die, but I love fast cars. And hey, who doesn't like looking at Vin Diesel?
oh, okay.
All right, so let's wrap things up with our last segment, but still your love tank.
Well, my love tank was filled this week with you anticipating my no work weekend with buying tons of snacks, every possible thing you could think about. It was all about making me happy. Wouldn't be in need of anything. Yeah, just to enjoy the weekend at home. Yeah, that is what filled my love tanks.
Okay, okay. I would say thank you for just being a listener because I was sitting down earlier today just reflecting, and it's not one specific thing. It's you when I say something, not overreacting, but like really stopping and listening and asking questions and coming back to it to like really get to the core of what I'm trying to communicate. Because sometimes we think we are speaking English, we're both speaking English, and we think we'd understand each other with the first conversation. But sometimes there are a few conversations, and I like the fact that you never communicate to me like via body language or you know non-verbals that you're frustrated. You're always willing to continuously have that conversation until we both understand each other. So thank you for that.
You are most welcome.
All right, people. So this was Some Romance Reality, and we thank you for listening to the Journey to Forever podcast. We would love to have you join the Forever family by connecting with us on Instagram at Journey to Forever TT and by subscribing to the podcast on whatever app you're listening to this episode on. In this family, we believe that sharing is caring, so be sure to share and discuss this episode with someone you love. Until next time, remember that forever love is a journey, not a destination, and the fuel that keeps you going is communication. Bye.
Have a great one, folks. Bye.